At 49, Natalie Wood's daughter finally tells the truth about Robert Wagner. For over 4 decades, Hollywood has been haunted by one of its most enduring and heartbreaking mysteries, the death of Natalie Wood. The glamorous star, beloved for her roles in West Side Story and Rebel Without a Cause, was found dead off the coast of Catalina Island in November 1981 under circumstances that remain clouded by suspicion. Now, at 49, her daughter Natasha Gregson Wagner is finally breaking her silence, and what she's revealing about her stepfather Robert Wagner is shaking Hollywood to its core. Natasha, who was only 11 when her mother died, has lived her entire life under the shadow of that night, one filled with whispered rumors, tabloid speculation, and questions that never seem to end. For years, she avoided interviews about the tragedy, choosing instead to focus on her own acting career and raising her family. But now, with time, perspective, and healing, she's opening up in ways she never has before, and her words are offering rare insight into the complicated relationship between her mother, her stepfather, and the truth behind Natalie's death. "My mother was my world," Natasha begins softly in her new interview, her voice trembling with emotion. "And Robert was part of that world too. He loved her, and I believe she loved him. But that doesn't mean everything was perfect. There were dark moments, moments that people still don't understand." Her statement immediately reignited debate over what truly happened aboard the yacht, Splendor, on that fateful November night. On board were Natalie, Robert, her co-star Christopher Walken, and the boat's captain Dennis Davern. What began as a quiet weekend at sea turned into a nightmare when Natalie disappeared, only to be found hours later, drowned near the boat. The official cause of death was initially ruled an accidental drowning, but over time, investigators uncovered inconsistencies in the accounts given by those on board. Rumors of arguments, jealousy, and secrets spread like wildfire, and in 2011, the case was reclassified as suspicious. Robert Wagner was named a person of interest, though he has always denied any involvement in his wife's death. For Natasha, these decades of speculation have been both painful and exhausting. "People talk like they know what happened," she says. "But they don't. None of us truly know every detail of that night. What I do know is that my mother was vibrant, full of life, and in love with her family. And that's how I choose to remember her." Yet her tone shifts when she discusses Robert Wagner, the man she once called Daddy Wagner. "He raised me after my mother died," Natasha explains. "He made sure I had love, stability, and a home. He did the best he could in an impossible situation. I know many people believe he's hiding something, but I also know he carries tremendous guilt and grief. I've seen it in his eyes. It's haunted him forever." In her upcoming memoir and accompanying documentary, Natasha delves deeper into her childhood memories and her attempts to reconcile the two sides of her life, the public tragedy and the private love that existed within her family. She reveals that Robert Wagner has, on multiple occasions, broken down while speaking about that night. "He cries every time he talks about her," she says. "He told me, if I could trade places with her, I would. That's the truth I know." Still, Natasha doesn't shy away from acknowledging the complexities of her mother's marriage. Natalie and Robert's relationship was legendary in Hollywood, a romance that captivated fans from the moment they first married in 1957. They divorced in 1962 amid rumors of infidelity and tension, only to remarry 10 years later. Friends say their love was both passionate and volatile. "My mom wasn't afraid to speak her mind," Natasha recalls. "She was strong, independent, and sensitive all at once. They fought hard, but they also loved deeply. That's why it's so hard for me to accept the image of my stepfather as a villain. It doesn't fit the man who held me when I cried for my mother." Still, she admits that the questions surrounding Natalie's death may never be fully answered. "Every few years, someone calls it a murder mystery," she says. "But to me, it's just my mother's story, a story that ended too soon. People want a villain, they want closure, but sometimes, life doesn't give you that. Sometimes, it just leaves you with love and pain mixed together." Natasha has spent years trying to make peace with her mother's memory. She has worked on projects honoring Natalie's legacy, including the HBO documentary Natalie Wood, What Remains Behind, which she produced and narrated. In it, she interviewed Robert Wagner directly, giving audiences a rare look at their emotional bond. "I wanted to look him in the eye," she explains. "Not as a daughter defending her father, but as a woman seeking answers. And what I saw was not guilt, it was heartbreak. I don't know if that's enough for the world, but it's enough for me." That perspective has earned her both praise and criticism. Some applaud her courage and compassion, while others accuse her of protecting a man who may have played a role in her mother's death. Natasha, however, refuses to be swayed by public opinion. "The world didn't lose their mother that night, I did," she says firmly. "And I'm the one who gets to decide what forgiveness means." As she reflects on her life at 49, Natasha admits that the tragedy shaped her in ways she's still discovering. "I grew up surrounded by grief and glamour," she says. "Hollywood taught me to smile for the cameras even when my heart was breaking. But now, I don't want to pretend anymore. I want to tell the truth, not the tabloid's truth, but mine. That truth," she insists, "is rooted in love, not conspiracy." "Robert Wagner will always be a part of my family," Natasha concludes. "He gave me strength when I was a broken child. Whether or not the world believes in his innocence doesn't change the love I have for him. And my mother, she lives in every choice I make, every memory I carry. That's how I honor her." In a world obsessed with scandal and sensationalism, Natasha Gregson Wagner's words are a reminder that behind every mystery lies real pain, real people, and real love. Her decision to speak now, after all these years, is not about reopening old wounds, it's about closing them on her own terms. As she puts it, "For so long, the story of my mother's death belonged to everyone else. Now, it's time for it to belong to me." And with that, perhaps the truth, Natalie's truth, Robert's truth, and Natasha's truth, can finally coexist in peace.